Our next question, some are out there kind of contemplating looking at moving from a part-time DJ to becoming a full-time DJ. They're just doing it. They've got a job during the week. They're doing a little bit here and there. For someone who's kind of contemplating that, let's give them just a couple of tips or a couple of things that they should be thinking about before they would seriously make that transition. Because Cubby, you this is what you do. You're basically this. You are a full-time entertainment company. Dan is doing the part-time thing, and I'm just confused. So, Cubby, let's start it out. If somebody was saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about making the jump," what are a couple of things that they should really think about before making that jump?
What is your current yearly salary? How many events that you have booked up for the next year? Is it close to that? Is it not close to that? What are your contracts read as far as payment so you can financially budget? Being going full time. I stopped going from payment the night of the event to a 90-day payment and a 30-day payment. The reason I did that is because here in Iowa, we get kind of slow sometimes in the middle of winter. I think I've shared this before. So my March brides are paying me in December. So I've got money coming all year round with 90-day and 30-day payments. So I can pay my DJs. I can live, I don't, also what kind of savings do you have in case you run upon a slow season or a slow part of the season? How are you going to make it through that slow part of the season? Insurance, look at the Affordable Care Act. How many family, does your wife work? Can she subsidize your insurance through her full-time job? Will free you up to do some more midweek money, maybe some daytime money, where they're working in nursing homes. They always look for DJs coming in to do karaoke and trivia and musical bingo with them. How active, what are you going to need to make to match your salary and more? Because not only you got to match your salary more before you go full time, because the taxes are really higher when you're self-employed. So you've got to make sure that you can meet your taxes. And then I'd have to say you need to make at least $20,000 more than what your current base salary is from your current job.
And that's after expenses many of the business expenses. Dan, what are your things that you would recommend if somebody were thinking about making the jump to keep in mind?
So I definitely, echo a lot of the things that Cubby said, especially the financial thing, and not just whatever your current job is, but you got to remember that right now you're kind of in a living situation of your current job and the money that you're bringing in from DJing, and that so you're coming up with both of those pieces. Is there enough events in your area? Like we've talked about weddings typically for some areas. John and I are both kind of in similar markets where it's like April maybe, but really we're looking like May to end of October. Is that 6-month time period of events going to pull in enough money? Enough? Is there going to be enough events to get the money that you're going to want to make? How much more are you going to have to increase your prices to be able to hit the money that you're potentially wanting to make? But I would also add in from kind of the standpoint, do you really love this job because it's a break from the monotony of your normal job? Like, we have a great job, don't get me wrong. It's a great career that we can have. But if that's the only thing you do, are you going to be able to feel the same about 3 weddings or 3 huge events in a weekend as you do when you only have to do it for 1? Are you going to have that energy? Are you going to have that stamina? I have a friend of mine, Scuba, out, in the eastern part of PA. He loves what he does, but he says, man, when I get into that really busy season and I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday weddings, by the time Sunday is starting, I cannot wait for Monday to be done. I cannot wait for it to be Monday. And that sometimes takes that joy out of what we do. So one of the things I love about also for my situation with the part-time is it also frees me up that if I want to take off a weekend, I don't have to go, wow, that really just cost me money that I could use to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can, if my my wife's family, one of our cousins is getting married this summer, and we're going to the wedding, and I just I'm not taking any weddings, and I didn't have to think twice about that. So those are the kinds of things that, what are you willing, if you're going to go full time, what are you willing to give up, and how are you going to structure your business so that you can still afford yourself to do some of those moments, to have those opportunities to have a weekend off for the things that are important.
That's huge.
Very.
Sorry, John.
No, that was great stuff there. Great stuff. So I'm going to go a different direction. Ivan mentioned that that DJing in essence is a 24/7 job, and to a point, it can be definitely can be a time manipulating or monopolizing situation. And that's where the direction I wanted to have is that if you've got a family, if you have children and such, what ends up happening is that, okay, so now I've got to take a couple of shows. Now I've got to be working Friday and Saturday, and then I'm working to get ready for those shows. And then my weekend, Sundays, I'm probably dead. I'm just shot. So I'm not there to engage the kids and the family when they want to do something. I wasn't there to do anything with the kids on Saturday because I was gone, or Friday. Then we get into the week. Well, Monday and Tuesday are my slower days, or do some office, and I've got a couple of days off. Well, if my wife's working those days, and kids are in school and such, yes, I've got time to be doing things and working on my business. But there's a lot of the meetings and planning and things that happen in the evenings. So when they're home, and it gets to be the situation where their schedules and my schedule don't jive. When I was basically a part-time DJ, and I was in my case when I was teaching, Lori had her day job, I had my day job, and then on weekends we would both go and we were doing smaller events. So there wasn't a ton of prep and a ton. We go do our two events, but our schedules were kind of synced, and it worked really, really quite well. Now, as we get into the situation when I was basically DJing 5 nights a week, our schedules didn't jive anymore because I wasn't teaching anymore, but now I was doing the DJ thing, and I was out, and then my day didn't start until 10 or 11 in the morning. Well, that didn't jive with hers because she was getting up and going to work or doing her things, and then she'd get home, and then I was headed out. Those types of schedules can put a lot of stress on a relationship and a family, and those are things that you've got to kind of weigh out. Is it going to be one of those things that you are so passionate about that you'll make those work your way through those things, or are those things going to become this emotional bottleneck that's going to strangle your move to full time? It can be really tough for a lot of folks in that situation, and I think those are the little things we don't think about too much. It's like, woohoo! I'm going to have all this free time that I can spend with the family all week long. No. Doesn't work.
I think I work more now than I did when I worked for somebody. I thought I was being more daytime baseball games. I always thought I was going to go fishing all the time. I work harder now, running my company than I did when I worked for somebody. Because if it goes off the rails, I've got 5 families that are not making any money.
Yeah.
So I've got to make sure that this rolls constantly, and for my family. And like I said, the vacations, Dan, we have to plan a year out before we can go, because you can't take those hot weekends off in September, October, August, or during the wedding season. You just can't take them off because you got to be working.
One quick story, guys, and we'll have to wrap. And this happened actually this past week. I was hearing from a DJ friend of mine who Cubby mentioned health insurance, and their spouse was the main insured person. They were using her insurance, and she ended up her job ended up canceling the insurance. So then he eventually had to buy insurance, and it went from being covered by her employer to now he had to come up with another $2,000 a month to cover their health insurance. It's just the way it is. If you're having to buy it out of your pocket, they were making too much. Where the insurance exchange, like we have in Minnesota and other states, it didn't help them at all. Well, he ended up going from being a full-time DJ to now he had to take a second job during the week to basically to come up with that. And yes, he probably could have picked up more shows and done some things like that, but he weighed it out and he's like, I'm going to just take that. I think he ended up driving bus is what he took a bus driving job. And it was just to basically pay for their health insurance for each month. So things can happen. You just have
That's a big one.
Yeah, that would be tough. $2,000. I mean, that's, and as Dan and I's situation, so in the summers, that wouldn't be such a big deal. We make there's enough shows coming through, but January, there's a lot of crickets that as you're waiting for that January show to come in.
And if you're going to go full time, man, you need to open up your books, man, like midweek money, trivia, bingo, karaoke, stuff like that, because you're not going to survive alone on May through October, November.
Not a chance. Yeah.
You've got to, and when you do that midweek money, the trivia, you can get those corporate events in December, January, and stuff like I'm doing now. That's is a blessing. And then once you get the anyway, I'll shut up. I know we got to get out.
No, but that's a good point. If you are there are ways to do it. I think that's one of the big points is that there are ways if you really are passionate and it's something that you're talking to your significant other and if you're like, okay, I think this is something we got to do. And if everyone's on board with it, there are ways to do it. But there can be a lot of the excitement of I'm going to be a full-time DJ. That excitement can wear off really, really, really fast and can be detrimental to your health, to your family's well-being, to your financial, Yes, we know a number of DJs who have lost their houses because that things just didn't happen. That was not even with a relationship part of it. It's just May to October doesn't make 12 months worth of payments sometimes. So,
well, during COVID, we lost a lot of DJs that they didn't have any work, and so they went to be a painter. They went to do other things because they couldn't work.
Yeah, that's for sure. So. Okay, thanks, guys. We're going to wrap here. Hanging with Howie, djntv.com/chill. Type that in, and that'll take you out to the Zoom meeting tonight. They'll be going and having their recording session tonight. And then after that, they will be back tomorrow night for the Tuesday Night Music Show. Again, 10 o'clock Eastern at djntv.com/chill. I've got a video tomorrow morning. Dan's got a video coming up. We've got some more speaker videos coming out this week. We will have the Everse 12 videos dropping next week. They will not be dropping this week because we've got a couple more Everse 8 videos that we wanted to put together because we did a lot of things in the office with those, comparing them left and right with a variety of different speakers and different options, different, hey, can I put this with this? And those will be dropping later this week and then next week the others. So, okay, I think that's it. Yes, Dan, take us home.
All right. Thank you very much for taking time to join us tonight. Hopefully we answered your question. And if not, you dropped it in the chat or you send it to John and we'll try and get to it next time. Have yourself a good one. We'll see y'all next time.